For nearly 1,000 years, Japan was shaped not by kings alone, but by warriors. These were men trained from childhood to fight, bound by loyalty, and guided by a strict code of honor that valued reputation more than life itself. They were feared on the battlefield, respected by rulers, and obeyed across the countryside. These warriors were known as the samurai. But how did this warrior class rise to dominate Japanese society for centuries, and what eventually brought their powerful era to an end? To understand the rise of the samurai, we need to travel back more than 1,000 years to medieval Japan. During the Heian period, which lasted from 794 to 1185, the emperor ruled from the capital city of Kyoto. However, much of Japan was governed by powerful aristocratic families who owned large rural estates. As rival families competed for land and influence, they needed armed fighters to protect their property and enforce their authority. These fighters gradually became known as samurai, a word that originally meant those who serve. At first, samurai were simply skilled warriors working for powerful families, but Japan's political system was slowly changing, and conflicts between clans were becoming more frequent. In this environment, military strength became the key to political authority. Samurai warriors trained in horseback riding and archery became the backbone of these regional armies. Their loyalty to their lords and their effectiveness in battle quickly made them indispensable. Over time, what began as a group of retainers evolved into a powerful military class. This transformation became clear during one of the most important conflicts in early Japanese history, the Genpei War. Fought between 1180 and 1185, the war was a struggle between two powerful clans, the Taira and the Minamoto, who both wanted control of Japan's government. Samurai armies fought intense battles across the country, including clashes between mounted warriors. The conflict ended with the victory of the Minamoto clan. Their leader, Minamoto no Yoritomo, established a new government known as the Kamakura Shogunate, where real political power belonged to the shogun and his loyal samurai. This moment marked a turning point in Japanese history. For the first time, the country was effectively governed by a military class. Samurai were no longer simply warriors serving powerful families. They had become the foundation of the political system itself. Their influence would shape Japan for centuries to come. But the power of the samurai was not only based on military skill. Their identity was also shaped by a set of values known as Bushido, often translated as the way of the warrior. This code developed gradually over time and was influenced by Zen Buddhism and Confucian philosophy. It emphasized loyalty, discipline, courage, and honor. A samurai's duty to his lord was considered absolute. Failure or dishonor could damage a warrior's reputation and bring shame to his family. In extreme cases, a disgraced samurai might perform seppuku, a ritual suicide intended to restore honor after failure. Within samurai culture, this act was seen as the ultimate expression of responsibility and loyalty. Samurai warfare itself was disciplined and carefully organized. Early samurai battles often emphasized mounted archery, where warriors rode into combat on horseback while firing powerful bows. Over time, close combat became more common, and weapons such as spears and swords gained importance. The katana, a curved sword carried by many samurai, became one of the most recognizable symbols of their status. Samurai armor was designed to balance protection and mobility, using metal plates tied together with silk cords to create strong yet flexible defensive gear. However, the samurai world was not static. Japan experienced periods of intense political instability that reshaped warfare and expanded the role of samurai armies. One of the most dramatic eras was the Sengoku period, often called the Age of Warring States. Beginning in the 15th century, central authority weakened and powerful regional leaders fought for control of territory. Samurai armies grew larger and more organized, and military strategies became increasingly sophisticated. Several famous warlords emerged during this turbulent era. Oda Nobunaga was one of the first leaders to begin unifying Japan through a combination of military innovation and strategic alliances. After his death, Toyotomi Hideyoshi continued the process of unification, bringing most of the country under his control. Finally, Tokugawa Ieyasu secured victory over his rivals in 1600 and established the Tokugawa Shogunate in 1603. This new government would rule Japan for more than 2 centuries. One of the most interesting aspects of samurai warfare during this period was the adoption of new technology. In the 16th century, Portuguese traders introduced firearms to Japan. Rather than rejecting these weapons, many Japanese warlords quickly recognized their advantages. Muskets were used alongside traditional weapons, and large armies learned to coordinate gunfire with conventional samurai tactics. This willingness to adapt helped certain leaders win decisive battles and reshape the political landscape of Japan. Yet success in war eventually created a surprising challenge. Once Tokugawa Ieyasu established his government, Japan entered a long period of relative peace known as the Edo period. For more than 2 centuries, large-scale warfare was rare. Samurai still held high social status, but their role in society was gradually changing. Without constant wars to fight, many samurai became administrators, government officials, or scholars. They were responsible for managing local governments and carrying out bureaucratic tasks rather than leading troops into battle. This shift created tension within the samurai class. Many warriors had been trained for combat since childhood, yet their daily lives now involved paperwork and administrative duties. Some samurai also faced financial difficulties because their income came from fixed stipends rather than productive land or commercial activity. Although they remained an elite social class, their traditional role as warriors was slowly fading. Then, in the mid-19th century, events from outside Japan dramatically accelerated these changes. In 1853, an American naval officer named Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Japan with a fleet of powerful warships. His mission was to demand that Japan open its ports to international trade. The arrival of Perry's ships revealed how far Western technology had advanced and made it clear that Japan could not remain isolated from the rest of the world. Japanese leaders faced a difficult decision: resist foreign influence or modernize quickly in order to survive in a changing global environment. This crisis eventually led to the Meiji Restoration in 1868. Reformers sought to modernize Japan's political and military systems so that the country could compete with Western powers. As part of these reforms, the government abolished the feudal system that had supported the samurai for centuries. Regional domains controlled by daimyo were replaced with centralized administrative regions, and a national army based on universal conscription was created. Instead of relying on hereditary warriors, the government would now train soldiers from the general population. For the samurai, these reforms were transformative. Many of their traditional privileges disappeared. In 1876, the Haito-rei Edict was prohibited from former samurai from carrying swords in public. For generations, the sword had been the defining symbol of samurai identity and honor. Losing the right to carry it marked the end of the samurai's traditional status. Yet the legacy of the samurai did not disappear. Their ideals of discipline, loyalty, and personal honor continued to influence Japanese culture long after their political role ended. Today, the image of the samurai remains one of the most recognizable symbols of Japanese history. The story of the samurai shows how a warrior class can rise to power, shape a nation for centuries, and eventually fade as society evolves. From the clan battles of medieval Japan to the final stand at Shiroyama, the samurai left a lasting mark on history. Their rise was built on loyalty, discipline, and military skill. Their fall came when the world changed faster than tradition could adapt. If you enjoyed learning about the warriors who once ruled Japan and the history behind their rise and fall, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more documentaries exploring ancient battles, powerful civilizations, and the events that shaped our world.